That night, I never expected anything but silence. But silence has weight. It presses down on you when there's no one left to help, and you're out of options. My apartment was quiet, dim, and far too cold for a June evening in Chicago. 3 months behind on rent, my phone filled with ignored calls, and my pride hanging on by a thread. That's when I heard the knock. Firm, calculated, and far too familiar. I pulled my robe tighter around my body, though the fabric was thin and worn. Felt like paper armor. I already knew who it was. Mr. Lawson, my landlord. He was a tall man in his early 50s, always dressed sharply, with a voice like cold steel wrapped in velvet. He stepped in without waiting for an invitation. "Samantha," he said slowly, eyes scanning me, lingering. "You know you're 3 months behind." "I just need a little more time," I said, my voice quieter than I intended. He shut the door behind him. My pulse quickened. "I've given you time," he said, walking slowly toward me. "But time doesn't pay bills. And unfortunately, neither do apologies." I swallowed hard. I had tried everything. Selling things I loved, picking up extra shifts, even calling my estranged sister. But nothing was enough. And now, standing in front of him, I felt the weight of something far more dangerous than debt. It was the moment when desperation begins to look like consent. "There's another option," he said, his voice softer now, almost kind. "No one would ever know." My stomach twisted. I looked away, then back at him. His eyes weren't cruel, just hungry. Calculating. I felt exposed, vulnerable in ways I hadn't been in years. But I didn't say no. My silence was my answer. He stepped closer. "You're a smart woman, Samantha. I'm offering a solution. A private one." The heat in the room was no longer from the radiator. It was him. His presence, his unspoken power. I nodded faintly. His lips curled, not into a smile exactly, but something darker. Satisfied. He took my arm and guided me toward the bedroom, his touch firm and sure. Inside, everything felt surreal, like I wasn't in my own body. I heard the sound of his belt unbuckling. The clink echoed like a final decision. "You know what this means," he said, voice low, and I nodded again, slowly, almost shamefully. My heart was pounding. I knelt beside him, trembling. His hand slid into my hair as I leaned forward, every movement unsure, hesitant. But the more he responded, the more a dangerous warmth spread through me. His reactions lit something inside me I didn't want to acknowledge. I shouldn't have enjoyed this, but part of me did. His breath caught, and he pulled away, barely holding on to control. "Get on top," he said roughly. I hesitated, robe slipping off my shoulder, but the tension between us was unbearable. I straddled him, and the feel of his hands on my thighs sent an unwelcome thrill through me. "You feel better than I imagined," he whispered, voice shaky with need. I bit my lip and kept my face unreadable, trying to stay detached. But my body, traitorous, alive, was responding. Every movement sent waves of heat through me. I tried to convince myself it was just survival. Transaction. But it didn't feel like that anymore. He saw through my silence. "You like this," he murmured. I shook my head, but he smiled knowingly. His grip tightened. My rhythm grew desperate, conflicted, and all-consuming. And when we finally reached that irreversible moment, we collapsed together in the heavy, humid air of the room. I sat at the edge of the bed, breath shaky, robe barely covering me. I should have felt shame. But I didn't. Not exactly. Not enough. He looked at me, amused. "You enjoyed that," he said matter-of-factly. "It was just a deal," I whispered, still looking away. "Sure," he chuckled. "If that helps you sleep." There was a long pause. Then casually he added, "You know, you could make real money. Men would pay for someone like you." My stomach turned, but I didn't leave. I didn't even protest. He leaned back, adjusting his open shirt. "You have something rare, Samantha. And I know 2 men who would be very generous for one night." I should have said no. But instead, I asked. How much? He grinned. More than you've made in the last 5 years combined. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. The decision was already alive in my chest. Mr. Lawson picked up his phone. Good girl, he said, dialing. I'll make the call. The next night, I stood in front of the mirror in a new dress, tight, low-cut, chosen by him. My reflection felt unfamiliar. My hair was curled, my lips painted red. I looked like a woman who made choices. I just didn't know if they were mine. Mr. Lawson stood in the doorway. You look incredible, he said, eyes approving. Turned. Who are they? Friends, he said. Generous ones. My breath caught as a knock sounded on the door. Opened it. 2 men walked in. One tall and broad-shouldered, the other lean and intense. Their presence was overwhelming, expectant. I led them to the bedroom, each step louder than the last. The taller man stepped closer first, fingertips brushing my waist. The other lingered behind, silent, breath warm on my neck. My robe slipped as the dress loosened, falling away in pieces. Their hands were deliberate, slow, exploring, appreciating. I touched them both, tentative at first. They responded with deep, ragged breaths. I lowered myself slowly, fingers trembling. Their warmth met mine. Their eyes stayed on me, watching, reading, guiding. When I lay back, breathless and exposed, the first man kissed his way down my thighs. I gasped, his mouth finding rhythm as the second kissed my lips, muffling my sounds. Their coordination was hypnotic. One pleasure, 2 directions. Later they moved me, slowly, carefully, until I was straddling one, my body meeting his while the second held me from behind. Every movement ignited fire. I didn't pretend anymore. Let go. You're perfect, one whispered. She's amazing, the other murmured with awe. And in that moment I believed them. Afterward we lay tangled in silence, sweat cooling on our skin. I stared at the ceiling, breath unsteady, and a quiet truth settling in my chest. I never expected to say yes. Never expected to enjoy it. But I did. And somehow, I wanted more.